Alright. What's good, y'all? Soul here, and welcome back to my story mode. So, it's absolutely no mystery as to what we're going to be talking about today. You've seen the title and you've seen the thumbnail. But this is a little more than just another video about Pokemon Legends ZA. Of course, it is a Legends ZA video, I'm not hiding that, but there's a lot more to this discussion here. I'm sure that as Pokemon fans, a lot of you have been thinking the exact same thing that I have. What if this announcement for Pokemon Legends ZA really was a step towards something a lot bigger? Now, on one hand, this could be me talking out of my butt cheeks, this could mean absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. But I think you and I both know that that's probably not the case. All of the reactions to the most recent trailer goes to show how in shock and awe we were that we weren't getting a game this year. Absolutely unheard of. All you gotta do is look at the sales numbers right before that and realize that they had no reason to do that. So why now? Why did they decide to switch up on us? And now, another question. Does this switch up finally mean that we can escape the dark ages of Pokemon? That is a very knock on wood situation and question in which I did do that. I knocked on wood right before recording this voice line, but you know what? I've droned on long enough. I think it's about time we start chit-chatting, so go ahead, sit down, get cozy. It's a nice summer day, so obviously you're gonna wanna grab a blanket and then grab your ramen and grab your gummy worms, mix that all together, and let's talk about the possibility of truly getting out of the dark ages with Pokemon. Before we do that though, we have to ask ourselves a question. Were we truly in the dark ages of Pokemon? Well, it sounds like it's time for my favorite segment. Soul drones on for Shinx knows how long about the problems that he and a lot of other Pokemon fans have had with the series for the past 6.5 years. I heard you groan, stop exaggerating, you know this is fun. Come on, let's go complain. So, if we were truly in the dark ages of Pokemon, it had to start somewhere, right? A lot of people would probably tell you if you asked them that the Dark Ages probably started when the remakes came out, but I dare to argue that that started way farther back. Me personally, I've still got beef to this day with the existence of Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. To this day, I still could not give you a valid reason as to why those games exist. I mean, the shiny hunting and wormholes and stuff like that were pretty interesting, and there was a little bit of a neat ending change and all that, so that's kinda neat, but other than that, 90% of that game is the exact same story with the exact same characters and the exact same Pokemon available that were in the game in the previous games. I would say that the only reason for somebody to ever pick up Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon is if you already didn't play Sun and Moon prior. The additions that they added to that game could have easily been like a miniature DLC or an update for like 15 bucks or something like that. Making us pay full 3DS game price was a little absurd. I've talked about this a couple of times at this point, but Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon was like the first time I really started to question what was going on with Pokemon, because that was really not worth it. Well, at that point, it didn't really matter because the 3DS was on its way out and the Switch was on the rise, so surely we had something to look forward to, right? Ah yes, of course, our first ever home console Pokemon game. Let's go Pikachu and Eevee. Because this totally would not be our 5th time in the series exploring Kanto. Surely, there must be some kind of twist on this, right? Of course the game looks cute and everything like that, but something about this has to be a little more unique. It is Generation 7 after all. It would be really cool if we had Mega Evolution and Z moves and stuff like that to take back to the Kanto region. Oh, actually, this is gonna be really swell. Oh no. Not at all. As a matter of fact, we're removing so many features that this is an entirely different Pokemon game. Huh? And what exactly do you mean by that? Oh, well, you know, there's not going to be any abilities, there's not going to be held items. As a matter of fact, there's not even going to be wild Pokemon encounters. And naturally, of course, we have to play into the strengths of the Nintendo Switch, so you're going to have to use your Joy-Con to throw the Pokeball. Why in the world would they make a gimmick like that? Oh, that's right, because Pokemon Go was still sweeping the nation 2 years later. They still had yet to cash in on the Pokemon Go fanbase, and this was their answer for that. So, in reality, Let's Go wasn't for the core fanbase, it was for the newcomers. You know what, guys? Fine. I can't really fault you for that because you're right. You did have a lot of newcomers that were coming into the series through Pokemon Go. Introducing newcomers to the concepts of held items, EVs, IVs, abilities, that would probably be a little overwhelming for a regular player. As longtime Pokemon fans, people like you and I had the benefit of growing up with the series, meaning that they were able to drip feed mechanics like that for us throughout the years. It'd probably be just a little too much for a newcomer like Little Timmy who just got into the series through Pokemon Go, which had almost none of that, not even the turn-based battling. So, okay. Fine, we'll get over it, we can live with this. Pokemon Let's Go was okay fun, you know, it's one of the best looking Pokemon games that we've ever had, so surely everything after this will be a gradual step up. Pokemon Sword and Shield. This is yet another situation where plenty of people will tell you this is where the Dark Ages truly started. And while I don't necessarily 100% agree with that, I can definitely agree that it absolutely foreshadowed the hell out of it. Graphical styling was absolutely less than acceptable, especially coming hot off the heels of an open world game like Breath of the Wild. I think that the models of the people in the Pokemon for the most part looked really okay, but most of everything else? Dookie. Unacceptable for a AAA title game. There were some towns that were bearable to look at and even looked okay in design, but like wild areas and stuff like that? Oh my goodness, what a mess, right? And then there's the thing that even to this day, I still hear about in little whispers or conversations every now and again. The infamous Dex Cut. For the first time in Pokemon history, the new mainline generational entries for the series would not have access to the full Pokédex. And under normal circumstances, I think that a majority of us would probably be okay with that because there's no reason to have every single Pokemon in this game. You guys had well over 800 Pokemon at that point, so that's fine. We didn't need every single Pokemon. However, they shot themselves in the foot when they announced that this wasn't happening because they promised to give us better animations. We've laughed about it, we've cried about it, we have talked thoroughly about this very topic for years on end. It's safe to say they barely delivered. Yeah, some moves look a lot more flashy in Generation 8. Hyper Beam looked insane. All of the unique moves for the starter Pokemon look absolutely crazy. However, if you're going to promise better animations for these Pokemon and sacrificing something that we've had for the entirety of the series up to this point, you have to deliver. And giving us a Scorbunny doing a double kick while not moving at all is not doing that at all. Come on. I'll see if I can find the clip, but I do remember that live stream and people going absolutely bananas in the chat when they saw that double kick. It was ridiculous for a showcase. Absolutely bananas, man. So all of that on top of a practically non-existent lackluster story, and yeah, you have Generation 8 in an absolute nutshell. I've played through Generation 8 a good couple of times now, and I'm still on the fence as to whether it's on the bottom of my list or somewhere in the middle. Long and short is, it's fun sometimes, not all the time. Also, the gimmick was so limiting and unfortunate, and broken too. What a mess, man. What a fun mess. However though, I'm sure that a lot of us can probably agree that the DLC was actually kind of a nice addition that helped out the base game a lot. We got a ton of extra content, brand new wild areas, access to previously locked up Pokemon, and even a couple of Pokemon got new regional variants. But I still think that the best thing about those DLCs was the fact that it added a lot of replayability to those games. On a brand new playthrough, you could have access to so many different Pokemon now, it's absolutely insane, and the best part about it all is that it actually level scaled. Now, of course, by doing something like that, you could easily get overpowered before you're even halfway through the game, and a lot of people would probably be upset by that because you could call it a pay-to-win strat. But if I'm paying half of the full price of this game that they're probably never ever going to look at again once this DLC is finished, yeah, I may as well have a broken strat. I paid good money for that. So yeah, at the very least, the game in of itself was not amazing. The DLC added a little bit to it to make it a lot more bearable, but overall, 6 out of 10, right? And so, what was next, right? You knew, I knew, they knew. It had to be the 4th gen remakes. It had been well over long enough since we had gotten our last set of remakes in this series. 3 years ago, I said I was concerned about how those remakes were going to end up, and sure enough, I was completely right. I'm not going into this again because I've already done a full-length review on these games, but to sum it up, an absolute disgusting cash grab. Their original project was turning into something else entirely, meaning that they needed to put something else out for the holiday season of 2021. So naturally, they grabbed their Pokemon home team ILCA and said, make these games in a couple of months. Let's go. You already have the blueprints, we don't need to add too much else, just make it 3D and playable on the Switch. Get a move on. Obviously, it was probably longer than a couple of months. It was probably like a year or two or something like that, but it definitely didn't feel like it because we all played those games and we know how they turned out. I'm not gonna explain all of that again. At this point, we may as well be caught up because the last 2 years after that, we've all experienced together. There is absolutely no denying that we were in the Dark Ages. It was filled with highs and lows, of course, but undeniably, yeah, it was a rough period there. Now, I've never hidden the fact that I thoroughly enjoyed Pokemon Legends Arceus as well as even Generation 9 of Pokemon. However, what was frustrating about those games was just all of the lost potential that was just sitting there within those. Within those terrible graphics and rocky frame rates, you could tell that there's a lot of things that those developers really wanted to implement but simply didn't have the time to. And we were consistently looking at a situation in which they were rewarded constantly for mediocrity. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I wasn't part of the problem. They were getting my money just like they were getting everybody else's. But because of all of the money that they got from us, they really truly did not have any reason to go out of their way to do anything different in terms of development. With Pokemon Legends Arceus, we recognized that amongst all of the just dirt, just the muck, there was truly a gem in there. Something that we really wanted them to follow up on. We literally said, hey, this right here is a phenomenal concept, and you know what? Just take your time with this one because we could really use more stuff like this. And then not even a month later, they gave us Generation 9's trailer. The joke writes itself. It really does. So there we were, sitting there thinking that this franchise could truly be cooked for good, and there was nothing we could do about it because they are the richest medium in the entirety of this planet. Not exaggerating, by the way. Getting to the point where you guys are revealing stuff to us and we were begging for you to give us nothing is a wild thing. However though, and again, knock on wood, a spark of hope kind of appeared before us. Like I said, Pokemon Legends was filled to the brim with muck. It was ugly, there was a lot of features missing, and quite frankly, they gave up on it as a concept way too fast before moving on to the next generation of Pokemon. However, it was so different and so fresh, and it was so actually gameplay focused and so fun that we could look past a lot of its problems, or at the very least, I definitely could. People were outwardly giving praise for a Pokemon game, and that was virtually unheard of, especially in between Pokemon Sword and Shield, the remakes, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And so, all of that brings us here today, a couple of months after the announcement of Pokemon Legends ZA. Now, the thing that gets me about all of this is the fact that they could have easily pulled what they've been doing for the last 3 years or so. It's been no mystery that they've had multiple teams working on these separate projects back to back forever now. Game development just does not move like that. There's no way that the same team that was developing Scarlet and Violet was also the same team that developed Legends Arceus. Which means that if they really wanted to, they probably could have had one of these teams put out something by the end of this year, right? But they didn't do that. They gave us not only a vague window of 2025, a full year from now, before we might actually see some kind of release, but it's also another Pokemon Legends game, a game that most people unanimously agreed was one of the most fun Pokemon games that we've had in years. That's gotta be saying something. Now, of course, there is something else that's kind of major that we should probably take into account here. Like I've said in a couple previous videos, Nintendo has been winding down to get ready for their next system. Hell, just a couple of days ago, Furukawa literally said to us in a tweet at like 3 AM or something like that, that we were going to be getting information on this next console within the fiscal year. It would be absolutely no shock to me or anyone else if Pokemon Legends ZA ended up being a launch title for this next console, as absolutely absurd as it is. Despite being in the Dark Ages for a majority of the Switch's lifetime, Pokemon has been and always will be one of Nintendo's biggest moneymakers. That is just a fact, plain and simple. However, to be a console-selling game, you gotta have some serious quality control. And we recognize that they were actually thinking about this quite some time back when they said they really need to think about their cadence of output versus quality. And so, because of this brings me to my final question. Can we truly see some kind of a turnaround? Pokemon Legends ZA not coming out until sometime next year means that they have just a couple of extra months of development time, which for them could be astronomically good. People seem to forget, man, Game Freak is actually incredibly talented. Not a lot of other developers can do what they do in the short amount of time that they're given. So just that extra little tidbit of time to actually create some quality for a Pokemon game could mean something incredible. And then there's also the bonus of what comes after Legends ZA. This extra couple of months that they're probably going to get in terms of development for Legends means that every other background project that they have right now is gonna get even more time to cook. So in turn, whatever team was working on Scarlet and Violet, we probably won't see their game for at least 3 to 4 years. And you know what? For them, I think that's more than enough time to cook up some quality stuff, dude. Game Freak being able to utilize their talents correctly is almost a dream come true, bro. So, I'm knocking on wood. I'm praying that we truly can somehow, with Pokemon Legends ZA, make it out of the Dark Ages, because we have been here long enough. Pokemon is an absolutely phenomenal franchise with endless amounts of potential, and if taken care of properly, we could see something absolutely immaculate. And this is something I have said for years on end, but this is one of the first few times where I feel like we truly might. I'm at a point where I'm still nervous, I'm still very much cautious, but it feels a little bit safer to be a little bit more optimistic. But I'm still knocking on wood, cause hey, that's just me. So that just about does it for my nice little long-winded random rant that we kind of go on every year at this point, you know. If I sound a little different, well, say hello to my new mic. How do I sound, you guys? Does it sound good? I like it, so, you know, hopefully it sounds good for you guys too. If not, you know, I'll make the adjustments necessary to make it sound even better, but, you know, I gotta play around a little bit, but hopefully everything sounds good and everything like that. But getting back on topic here, yeah, with this announcement and them being so quiet and stuff like that, I feel like we do actually have a little bit more to look forward to, and I'm really excited for the future of Pokemon, but hopefully they actually are really cautious with this project here, because if they mess this one up, it might truly be over. We may truly be cooked, but I don't know. We'll have to definitely play that one by ear. But I think that is plenty out of me. So I'm taking the new, I swear to God, if you drop it, I'm dropping you. I'm turning it over to you, bro. With the gentlest hands possible. I'm turning this mic over to you, and I'm asking you right now, what are your guys' thoughts on getting out of the Dark Ages of Pokemon? Do you think that we've been in there long enough? Do you think that we could finally escape with Pokemon Legends ZA? Sorry if I bumped you. Do you think we could finally make it out of there, and we could finally get out of this mucky couple of years that we've been in for the past couple of years? Or do you think that we are cooked regardless? Legends ZA is nothing but a pipe dream. We're probably going to get some more trash, and we have nothing to look forward to. Tell me everything that you guys are thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, it does appear to be skedaddle o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do just that. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone. So thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in my next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time.